Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our show. My name is Jonathan Tripp, and this is Jonathan Tripp Live. This is the first show of the week. It's Monday, so happy Monday to everybody that's watching. I'm really glad to see you. Today, we're going to be talking about customer service in social media. All right, and I think it's a really great topic. I think customer service is both, it's one of those things, in my opinion, it's both an art and a science. And I've been doing customer service or working with customers for years now, in several capacities, both as manager, as sometimes as like the phone answerer, those kind. Those are the ones that they're the first line of defense from keeping the managers getting overwhelmed. At least that's how they think of it. But I want to talk about several of these aspects. And again, today, and I was talking about this in the pre-show, that this is not a corporate level customer service training. This is really talking about some real, I think, more tangible, more practical considerations that you as a business owner or even as a department manager, if you have the power to implement some things, these are some of the aspects that need to be considered, at least in my opinion, that's really important. So, having said that, guys, welcome to the show. If you haven't already, you can watch our show live also on jonathantripp.com. I'm sorry, jonathantripp.live. That's one place. But we have a number of places that you can watch this. So if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks. If you're watching this live on Fire Talk, it's awesome to see you. And I did just see your note. Here's the mug shot for the day. It's my Mr. mug today, and courtesy of this is actually a wedding gift. So this is kind of important. I love the mugs, and I love the fact that I've more and more I'm seeing people they're interacting. I love it when they do their own mugshot, #mugshot, and they send it out. I actually do kind of pay attention to that hashtag on social media. So I thought it was kind of fun. So, but welcome to everybody that's here. So let's start off. I have 5 points I'm going to make, okay? And I'll just kind of rip through. Let me just tell you what I think those top 5 are. And then we'll kind of dive into deep, okay? A little bit deeper. In the first one, so it's have a solution, empower the employee, change the customer perspective, admit mistakes and have room for improvement, and allow for feedback. Okay, and I've selected these 5, and I'm sure. I mean, I could probably make a list of like 85 of these. I'll be honest with you. You can. The list kind of goes on, but I wanted to put it in these 5 categories because I think they are literally the most tangible, the topic heads that can and should be that we can really think of. Okay, so having said that, so having a solution. Now, when it comes to customer service, guys, we've been taught over the years and over if you've done almost any customer service training, what you can discover is very quickly that the customer's always right. You know what I mean? I mean, the customer's always right. They could be calling up, complaining. I mean, it could be the worst of the worst language. They could have a legitimate complaint, and it doesn't really matter. The whole point really is that customer service, from the customer's perspective, they're always right because they're the ones that have the problem, and you're the one that has to have or should have the solution. And depending on how you handle it, even when you make a mistake, will depend on how the whole conversation or conversations go, the experience, okay? And so when I say have a solution, this is what I mean. Take the time before you ever get that first customer complaint or customer question, because not all customer questions are complaints. I said, have a workflow, okay? Take the time before the phone even rings to map out how do you want your customers to experience your business, okay? A lot of businesses do this. It is a workflow where they want to see first this happens. Sometimes they call it the customer life cycle or the where it's where they chart out from how they gain the customer, they engage, they make the pitch or whatever, the service, they sign the contract and whatever. I mean, however that service is laid out, but the whole point really is have a workflow. And the same principle on the broader sense of the customer life cycle, it also needs to come into the customer service aspect. How are you going to handle your customers? How, when they have questions, when they come to you? So have a workflow. Spend the time. I know one practice is, we would put out a big whiteboard. And I mean by big, I mean like a 4x8 sheet. Like we went down to Lowe's. We got that bathroom whiteboard stuff, like the backing on like for like shower enclosures. I mean, it's just a massive sheet. We went up and we screwed that thing right into the wall, bought ourselves a handful of dry erase markers, and we went to work. And by the time we finished, we had a full out workflow for how we wanted our customers to experience. If we're drawing it out, was it a problem, was it a question? Well, what if it starts with a question, becomes a problem? And we started just working these questions out on how we wanted to guide our customers to a resolution. So it took a couple of days to really spend time and do it, but it was so well worth it, because based on that, we developed what's called a resolution model. And a resolution model is this: how do you either answer the question, okay, so that the customer is satisfied? How do you then de-escalate it, not allow that question to become where it goes to the manager? And because we all know this, guys. We all know this, right? How many of you guys have had it so that the customer calls up and they ask the question, and immediately the customer says, I want to talk to a manager. We'll get to that, why that's a bad thing and how to avoid that in your business, or why you need to avoid it in your business, okay? But the resolution model goes like this. It's answer the questions, de-escalate it so that the employee or that customer service rep, whoever's answering the phone first, will be able to answer it. And it involves less employees in order to resolve it. And then the last part of that resolution model is also an exit strategy. Okay, and we're going to actually talk about that a little bit more, but it kind of it comes out where, have you ever had those customers? And I've talked about this many times. There are some customers where you just need to say goodbye. These are the customers that, and you gotta believe me when I say this. Not every customer that wants to buy your product is a good customer that you need to have. If you're spending more time with your customer service and trying to resolve and sending out, maybe replacing, and on and on and on and on, and they're never satisfied, they're never happy, they may not be your type of customer, and you may need an exit strategy. And an exit strategy should not, ideally, it doesn't involve saying, forget you, and slamming the phone down and blocking their number. That's not an exit strategy. You need to work it out. It depends on, you need to work it out so that it works well with your business, so that they have a clear understanding that you don't offer the service that they need. And it's, you try to resolve it in the most positive way possible. And David, I agree. Some customers do not get fired often enough, right? So all of those things together, I think that's having you're coming to the table even before the first phone call rings. You have a solution through your workflow, so you know exactly how you want your customers to experience you. Have a resolution model so that you know how to de-escalate or move the customer through the experience, and then also have an exit strategy, and that's super important. And good morning to everybody that's joining. Hey Bonnie, and everybody else that's here. So that was number one. Number two, empower your employees. And I cannot stress this enough. And there's going to be a couple layers to this, okay? And this is why this is important. As a business owner, if you're a manager or as a business owner and you have employees, the last thing you want your employees to do is to constantly come to you asking you questions all the time for things that they should know. All right? Now, but if you're a manager and owner and you haven't properly trained or empowered your employees to do that, it's your fault. If you haven't given your employees the ability to say yeses and nos and come up with solutions for your customers, you're preventing them from being able to free your time up, which in many ways, that's the reason why you have an employee, because you need someone else to help you share the workload. Okay? So if you're not already, you're training your employee, and this is where I'm going to go with this, all right? If you're not training your employee how to handle certain situations, you're abusing or not fully utilizing the greatest asset that your company has. Your greatest asset is not the product you have. It's not the service that you're offering. It's not the it's not the technology. Your greatest asset is not even the customer that's calling on the phone. Your greatest asset, I believe, is the employee that you have. Oftentimes they take the most time to train, but the end result with a good hire is a fantastic a brand ambassador. They're a team member. They are when hired right. Can I say it like this? When you hire someone right, they make your team stronger instead of it's another employee you have to do. They cost less because they make you more money. Okay, all of these things together. So your greatest understanding that the first principle is that your greatest asset is your employees. So pour your training into them. I've been very fortunate, and almost every company that I've had has really been very high on training. And maybe that's the way that with the companies that I've pursued in the past is that they know the value of training. And when you train your employee to handle a certain situation, and then you empower them to be able to make those choices. A really good company that I know that does this or did this before they got bought out was Virgin Airlines. Okay, and one of the things that they would say is this: what they would want to do is that they want their employee. They give them the guidelines, and then they say, look, make the best choice that you can, and we'll sort it out later. I mean, this is coming from the CEO and president or then president of Virgin Airlines, where they want their employees to make their customers happy. And they give, obviously, I mean, it's not like, well, they're just like handing out free tickets left and right for their airlines. No, but they are coming up with creative solutions to make the customer happy because they realize in that industry particularly, it is all about customer service. And one of the things that I had heard, and this is kind of why I bring this up, Virgin Airlines, is that within the airline industry, it's not like you have that many types of planes. To choose from. I mean, you only have a certain select number of airplanes. So I mean, the airplane is the same. I mean, so what's going to make the difference? It really is the people and the experience that they bring to the customers. That's what makes it all the difference. Even when it comes to cutthroat prices or the higher prices, people are still looking for what's the customer service, because I know tons of really low airfare costs that people have flown one time and they say, I will never fly on that airline again. The service is so bad, it's not worth the money. I was actually so stressed out. I was so I couldn't get people to answer my questions or whatever the complaint was. That was their impression of the airline. It was a bad experience. It was a negative experience. So that's why I say, when it comes back to coming back to your employees are your greatest asset, train them, empower them to be able to make a positive decision so that, and hear me out, right, guys? So that that employee doesn't always have to escalate it to can I talk with your supervisor? Can I talk with your manager? Because when the employee is left with that as the last resort, or feels like they've probably already gone, it's probably already escalated too quickly to get to I want to talk to your supervisor. And when the supervisor has to do that with however many people that they're managing or they're responsible for, the supervisor just does not have enough time in the day to be able to do it. And now your supervisor starts to get stressed out and aren't able to do quality control and help the other employees because they're busy actually tangibly helping. And we understand, guys, that as an employee, sometimes it is your job to field those questions. But if you can train your customer service reps, those people answering the phones that are actually in contact with those questioning customers, the more that you guide and train and have that workflow and the resolution models already set, it makes their job easier, and they're able then to come up with more creative, very customized, personalized solutions for that for that problem or that situation. Hey guys, it is great to see everybody. Thanks for everybody that's joining us here, Zeph and Bonnie and Mike. I'm trying to keep up with some of your comments, but I'm looking. So no, Bonnie, I'm not. I sit down for this. I can't stand up. I feel like I should be, but maybe with the amount of caffeine that coffee I drink in the morning, maybe I am standing. I just don't even know it yet. Okay, so we talked about having a solution with your workflows, resolution models, and exit strategies. We talked about empowering your employees because they are your greatest asset, helping them, giving them tools so that they don't automatically just escalate it to a manager, but they feel empowered to provide and proactively provide solutions. And this is a really great part of this as you train and your employees and as the customer service people become better at their job. They are going to be better at proactively suggesting a solution because of their experience. They understand, oh, I've heard this before, let's try this. Or their experience says, oh, I know how to solve this problem, let me suggest this to the customer. And if you can de-escalate a lot of those problems and answer them very quickly, it builds a lot of confidence with with that customer, which kind of takes me into number 3. And you guys, this has been talked about so many times. And by the way, guys, thank you to everybody that is here. I forgot to say this. If you don't already, you can please share this out. I appreciate that. Good morning, Eileen, too. Good to see you. So I want to talk number 3 here is the customer perspective. And some people a lot of people have talked about this. Well, you have to walk a mile in their shoes, or you have to think like a customer, or however you want to phrase it. The concept is still there. You have to come at it from the customer perspective. Okay. This is really important. From the customer perspective, they've encountered a situation where they cannot resolve it themselves, or they're dissatisfied. Okay. And so I want you to, as a business person, as the owner or manager, you need to ask yourself, what are the touch points for that customer? And this is where it integrates mainly with social media, because those things are all pre-social media. Now that the customer is now calling, or the customer is now writing a bad review on your page. They've sent you a negative email, or maybe they're tweeting out you, or their Facebook message. Whatever the case is, wherever they're touching, what are the touch points? And how are you aligned and ready to be able to reach out to them right then, very quickly, in almost a real time? I mean, you can't let 8 hours go by before you respond to somebody's negative comment, because by then they've had 8 hours to complain about how bad your customer service is. Okay? It's like when somebody calls up for customer service and they want to talk, they have a question about a product or a service, and you make them wait for an hour on the phone. Well, one, they're not going to wait on an hour. It's just not going to happen, right? You need to respond almost literally now in real time. And if you don't, you've lost them, and you probably just really angered them. And so good luck trying to, either win them back as a customer, find a positive resolution if you're not doing it in the present. Okay, so I would say find out what your touch points are. Where are they? Are they experiencing you through your website? Are they experiencing you through whatever the case is? How are they experiencing you? And if that's the case, then you need to make sure that you're paying attention to them. And my opinion, in one of the ways, and this is kind of goes in a little bit into reputation management, once you see that comment, even if it's a negative one, don't immediately delete it, but definitely reach out to them and try to get them off of that social media platform. The discussion should not happen on Twitter, on Facebook, on your comments section, or it needs to happen either in the worst case, it needs to happen via email, but at least talk to them, get them on the phone, get them talking to you. Okay. Now here's the reason why I say just don't automatically delete the bad comment, because guess what? If you have no negative reviews, how many of you guys have gone and seen a business that has, 300 5-star reviews on whatever their product, or it makes you kind of go, wait, it just looks funny. It looks suspicious. Maybe they've had 300, but maybe they've had another 300 bad reviews that they've deleted, right? It should. I want you to think of it in terms of like every business is going to have a dissatisfied customer, and I worked for a company where we brought in a quality control, customer quality control review, and they would go through our records over the last 3-6 months or something like that, and they would randomly pick people out, And they picked out a number. And so this consultant came in, and he started picking out customers. He called them at random. And he introduced them. Hi, my name is so and so. Right? I'm doing a quality follow-up on your experience with this company. And I would like to ask you, this is objective, your name doesn't get shared or anything, all that kind of stuff, all the anonymity needed. And he came back, he says, look, I'm actually having a hard time because all the names I drew, they had absolutely no complaints. As a matter of fact, they all had praise. So he actually went through and he finally found one. And once he found one, he says, look, okay, I spent a little bit more time trying to dig up the dirt a little bit. But here, this is why this worked, okay? Is because when this company had a problem, they pursued the problem with the customer. They just didn't let it die. They didn't let it fester. They didn't let it sit on their social media. They followed up and they made it right. Or they had an exit strategy in where they would either refund a portion or full or whatever it was. But this is the other part, and this is where a lot of, I think, companies fall down. They would go back to the customer and said, would you please leave another message, follow up on the comment, and says thank you, and just tell everybody, or they would ask them, would you just leave a comment that we resolved it with you, that we actually reached out. And they said that almost by itself created both the realism of that this company cared about their customers, even if they couldn't resolve it fully. It was super important that they saw that, okay? And that's a really good way, and that can take place in a number of different ways. But that's the basic point. So don't delete your bad comments unless, if they're harassing or anything like this. That's one thing. But if they're just someone just has a question, then do a follow-up. And so it's actually kind of documented on your comment section. They say, oh, there was a problem, but guess what? The customer, the company resolved it with the customer, and the customer came back and said, oh, that I like that. Or yeah, they reached out, we resolved it. That's the point. And so that's the positive side of it. The other side is, don't allow those negative comments to fall through the crack. If there's a negative tweet, a Facebook comment, something, do not let it go unaddressed. Do not let it go unaddressed. It makes your company look bad. It makes you look unresponsive. It only infuriates customers and gives fuel to future customers. Do not do this. Okay? So from your customer perspective, find what the touch points are. Where are they coming into contact? How are they talking to you? And don't allow them to fall through the cracks. Period. All right. And now, number 4, and this goes right into this one, which is admit your mistakes and accept room for improvement, because that's going to happen. When you do that, and we're kind of move along here a little bit more. When you start doing that, when you admit that you've made a mistake as a company, or I apologize, I need to call you back, or this should have been, I apologize for. When you do it and you're very sincere, not condescending or patronizing, right? It creates a very personal rapport with that customer, that I actually, as the company rep, I care about you, the customer, and I want to make sure that you know that I care and I'm personally invested in you. Okay, and that's absolutely essential, especially in this day and age where you can buy a lot of things and you never actually talk to anybody. If you're in a conflict or a question, having that personal interest is absolutely super crucial, and a lot of businesses miss that because they try to keep it very sterile but very professional. Oh, well, thank you very much for your day. No, take it deeper. Give your employees permission. And train them. Run through these scenarios to go deeper in the relationship. I love that. You guys are awesome in the comments. It says, listen to what they say. So, okay, Sandra, that's exactly. So it's listen to what they say and make them feel good. That's absolutely important. And that's what I'm saying when I say get personal. Right? That give your employees enough room to be able to, and not obviously stay professional, but allow them to be able to interact personally and not just stick to the script. Because customers hate it when they sense that they're being pushed through a teleprompter. They can sense it. Allow your employee, train your employee, practice with your employee to make really personal comments. And this allows them to become interested from the employee side, they're interested in how your customer is going to resolve, and it also creates a reciprocal relationship where that customer is going to say, hey, look, can I speak with John, or can I speak with Cindy, or can I speak with Zeph? Can I speak with them because I really had a good experience? I know I do that. I always ask for names because I want to talk to that person again. Even if it's been a negative, I want to talk to them again so that I can resolve it, because I know that I would expect that they're going to know me, and we can go from there. So that's admit your mistakes and get personal. When you do that, it's going to allow you to gain a lot more trust and credibility when you say, I made a mistake. And then you're able to, because you've already put a workflow and a resolution in place, you already know how to handle those things. And the last one is allow for feedback. Now, this to me is the missing key for 90% of businesses out there that I've ever encountered. Okay. Now you're going to expect me to say, allow for feedback for your customers. How did we do? And that's important. I think it's an important component. I do. I'll give whether it's through an email, and again, we already talked a little bit about this, but follow up. Ask them to give you some honest feedback. Whether it's, I know one business we would mail out a card, a survey card, or we would hand it. It was already pre-stamped, it was already done. All they had to do, there was no identifying markers on them. We liked the service, we didn't. We had a problem with this, or the technical, and we would go down through. I think it was 8 or 9 questions at the most. Can't be too long because they won't do it. But they're very easy, and it really helped us gauge the experience from the customer side. But when I say allow for feedback, that's actually not what I'm talking about right now. The customer experience is important. Get some. It's good metrics. It's a good gauge. As long as you pay attention to those numbers and see, perfect. Well, this was the one that I'm going to talk about. Allow for feedback. Here it is. Allow your customer service representatives to give you feedback as a manager, as a supervisor. Allow them, listen to them. What was their experience in dealing with this customer? Did they feel not empowered? Did they feel maybe abused or not supported by management? Did they feel that they didn't have options? Did they feel maybe they're undertrained? Because how many of you have watched those customer service training videos where that customer service rep is just burnt out? They've had it. They've had that one, and they're slamming the phone down. They're berating the customers. They're belittling the customers. And then guess what? You as an employer are put in a position where you either have to discipline or fire them for their performance. And here you've spent all this time and money developing, training them, giving them experience, pouring your time into them, bringing them along so they're familiar with the business, and now you have to let them go because they're frustrated and they haven't been able to figure out a way. You haven't provided a real way for them to be able to kind of blow off some steam or be able to be heard, because that's their job, is to listen. Well, you need to do the same thing for your employees. So give them a chance, give them an opportunity to say, hey, this was an awful experience, and be able to train them from that and do live trainings. I can't tell you how many times I would listen on a phone call, or I was just in the office and I heard experience, and I said, okay, hey, good, why don't you hang up the phone, just come on, let's go for a walk. I would literally go grab a cup of coffee, let's go for a walk. Tell me what happened and why you're so frustrated, because I can see it and I don't want you to be frustrated. Because you're going to say something or do something you're going to regret, and you don't want that to be how your customers see you, and you don't want to be that kind of a customer rep. So giving them the chance to respond and then also adapt, because they may say, look, I handled this wrong, or it may be that as a manager, maybe I handled it wrong. I need to be able to have that interaction. So those are the ways that I kind of see. And let me just recap real quick. When it comes to customer service in social media, this is where I think, and we'll wrap up with this and then go into our after show party. But I think the 5 tips are, have a solution. Spend the time to have a workflow, resolution models, and exit strategies for all of your events and all of your customers. Okay, empower your employees because they are your greatest assets. This is not just for a manager. This is for those that are actually coming in contact with the customers. and provide them and allow them to have proactive solutions that will make the employee and the customer happier. Okay. Come at it from your customer perspective. What are the touch points? Where are they coming in? Is it phone calls, a social media outlet? Is it an email? Is it a walk in the door? Whatever the case is, and we'll talk about that in the after show a little bit more. But do not allow your customers to fall through the cracks. If they've made a complaint or if they have a question, take it very seriously. This way you have a chance now. And number 4 is admit your mistakes and allow room for improvement. You get personal, be interested in them, and build that relationship. The credibility will last you longer than the problem most of the time. And the last one is allow feedback, not only just from customers, but also from your own employees. Make sure that you as management or a supervisor or as a business owner, that you are listening to your employees so that they don't have burnout. Because if you really do believe that employees are your greatest asset, this is a place where that they will probably have their own exit strategy from your business, and you don't want that. Invest in your employees, make them great, and they will serve you so well that your customers will feel it and they will keep coming back, and it grows your business. So those are my 5 things for making social media for customer service, and particularly how it's starting to interact with social media. And I do want to talk about that a little bit more in the after show. But for those of you guys that are watching us live, thank you guys for sticking around today. If you are watching us on the replay, thanks for watching. This is a great opportunity. Please make sure you sign up for our email list at jonathantripp.com/better social. That's a way to kind of stay in tune. If you want to watch a show, we do this weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So with that, I want to say, guys, thank you so much. We're going to be transitioning over. You can watch us. We do the show live. We host it on Fire Talk. But I want to say thank you, guys. We'll see you shortly. Thanks.